Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over SassyMaMa's defense. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Now remember, we do cover a wide variety of defenses. So sometimes we're talking about people who are just starting war. Sometimes we've got people who are up in like Diamond or something. And so you get a wide variety of these defenses. I haven't had a chance to go over SassyMaMa's defense very well, so I'm not even sure where she's going to land on that spectrum. But as we go through, I like to have people keep that in mind. Let's talk about team number 1, though. Right off the bat, I'm seeing a problem here. You're using the wrong person. We want to get Namor out of here and get She-Hulk in here. He's not doing anything on war defense, and She-Hulk's the one that's going to get him jumped up to speed. Definitely going to be worth your investment if you're going to use this team on defense. Otherwise, these guys get rolled over pretty easy. Make them war ready. And then as for placement, I would like She-Hulk in the center with, let's put Johnny and Mr. Fantastic to the outside with Thing and Sue adjacent to She-Hulk. And then, yeah, let's go. We've got, okay, I like Johnny and the Thing as strikers. I like Sue and Mr. Fantastic as skirmishers. And then I like She-Hulk as a skirmisher or a fortifier. This team scales pretty well. The more you invest in it, you get a pretty good return on it. But ultimately, it gets beat, so I don't know if it's really worth investing too much into. The way this works is they throw out a lot of assists, and so you want to have 2 skirmishers and 2 strikers so that you get lots of double taps. And then, of course, you want your high damage dealers, which is the Thing and Johnny, to be your strikers. Sue could be a striker also, but I don't really like her as a healer. I think that's a wasted ISO. So for this one, this is really, really bad. You're kind of wasting a lot. For me, this is a D, sorry to say. It's better than shield guards, but you are just totally wasting the team with who you're using and their placement in some of those ISOs. Team number 2, Kree Minions. This is a total filler team, so it is what it is. You got Ronan in here. It makes the Kree Minions a little bit better. I like the other person in here, who's that Cyborg. I like Cyborg in here instead of the Oracle. Oracle you use if you think you're going to get some DVs and keep this team alive and have some longevity, but you're not. So use Cyborg. It's probably a better bet. We're really splitting hairs with this team. It's not even worth making war ready. They're such garbage. Bringing them up to war, bringing them up to war ready levels is just pointless. So as is, it's pretty good. I think the placement is okay. I think what we should do, though, is probably swap places with Reaper and Ronin. That way, when she calls the assist, she's calling it with Ronin. Ronin's got a better basic assist than Reaper does. I think Reaper just applies bleed or something is all. Yeah, like I said, you're not wasting anything with this team. And so even though it's trash, it's not scary, it's going to get rolled over and everything, you haven't done anything really horrible wrong with this. I think it's just a C+ team for me. Yeah, if you change this, swap the placement, ISOs, heck, they don't even matter. I would put Skirmisher or Raider on Ronin if you're gonna do something. Maybe Fortifier. He's pretty slow. Healer's not getting anything done. Maybe Fortifier. He's probably gonna die real quick, so it doesn't really matter what you put on him because he's only gonna take about 1 turn. And then Skirmisher here is good. Healer on Oracle is technically good. I like Cyborg as a striker. I think he has pretty decent damage. And then Striker over here is fine too. Also, you could run Ronin as a skirmisher, especially if he's going to be adjacent to whatever her name is. I forget, Royal Guard or something. Because then she calls the assist and comes in with a double tap. But I mean, honestly, don't do anything with this team. Just leave it, forget about it. It's just a C+ filler slot. Okay, let's see. We've got Heroes for Hire. I like it when people put the Heroes for Hire at the back of their roster because this is the team that kind of makes or breaks war defense. And so hiding it at the back of your roster forces them to go through your smaller teams and figure out to figure out how big your Heroes for Hire is and how they're going to approach it, because they've only got so many ways to take it down. I mean, now it's 2 ways with Weapon X and Infinity Watch, but if they have a limited amount like some alliances do, then they really have to pick and choose which ones they're going to do. So hiding it at the back of your roster, team number 8, 9, or 10 is a good way to do that. I like The placement's fine. I prefer Iron Fist next to Luke Cage, but everybody's arguing the placement these days, so it doesn't really matter. I definitely think Wang Chung should be over here on the outside instead of Misty Knight. Again, I'm not even going to dock you for the placement on this. As long as Luke Cage is off to the side, it's a decent placement. You've got Healer, that should be Fortifier. Striker, Healer, I like Skirmisher better. Healer is acceptable. You don't get a lot of value out of that heal. Then you've got Raider and Skirmisher. So you really should change this ISO. Luke Cage is dying and reviving when he's fighting the Infinity Watch. And so you want him to revive with that extra 45,000 hit points or something. It's pretty minimal, but it's something. And then I like Skirmisher over here for the extra vulnerable on the field. Not too shabby, decent power level. You know, they're required to bring in a sizable team to take care of it, but you should be hiding it at the back of your roster. So I'm going to give you a B- for that. Team number 4 is a PymTech with Shuri. Why you're not using Ghost here, I don't know. I think this is just another filler team. You've probably got Ghost on a hybrid, I take it. So Shuri's giving them some defense up on spawn. Then this team is very dodgy. It has lots of taunts. It's a frustrating team. It's a decent sized number, relatively speaking. Let's see. Make them war ready. If you're going to put them to level 3, might as well take them to level 4. You've got Skirmisher and Skirmisher. That's correct. I like Raider on her, but Skirmisher works. Healer on her is fine. You could also do Fortifier. She's pretty squishy for a tank. And then she's a healer, of course, because that's all she does. I don't really have any problems with this. I would maybe swap places with Shuri and Ant-Man, get him to the outside because he's going to be drawing the taunt. And that's about it, really. Your biggest damage dealer is over here, so maybe put him in the center. Yeah, so let's go Ant-Man, then Shuri, then Yellow Jacket, and then Wasp and Stature. For me, this is kind of a who cares filler team again. It's pretty well done, though. There's not too many major mistakes or anything. I'm going to give you a B for that. I think we could do better, but you're not over-investing in garbage tunes or anything. Well, maybe with Ant-Man there. That's pretty unfortunate, but whatever. Team number 5 is the Sinister Six with Doc Ock. I really don't like seeing Doc Ock on this team anymore. If you're going to put Doc Ock on this team, use him on offense. They still do some things on offense. It's a really good offensive team. But on defense... this is a liability. These new chargeable characters, Mysterio, his summon, they just get eaten up by a small Symbiotes team or even a smaller Axemen team. It doesn't hold anything. Also, your placement is not very good. Originally, we liked Doc Ock in between the two chargeable characters, giving them the deflex because they were so squishy, but it's kind of nice to put Rhino adjacent to Doc Ock now. In case somebody comes in there with an ability block or something, Rhino has a chance of cleansing that. It's a small chance. I just really don't like seeing Doc Ock in here. I think you should run the OG Sinister Six. Keep Rhino in your pocket for offense in case you want to use him on like that Dad Bros build. And then instead put in Vulture and Green Goblin. That's it, Green Goblin. Yeah, and then just who cares, you know? You're just filling a slot again, and you have a big enough number that they have to bring in some kind of a synergized team. You know, if you had a 500 OG Sinister Six, I'd recommend going into it with a 400 AIM or something like that as an efficient way of cleaning it up without using one of your more meta teams. Okay, Striker, Raider on this guy, no good, no good. He should be Striker or Skirmisher. I like him as a Striker because he calls lots of assists, and if you have lots of Skirmishers on your team, there's a good chance you're going to get that double tap, and he's clearing those positive effects. So Skirmisher makes sure it clears, and Striker gives you the double tap so that it happens more often. So one of those two choices is good. I really don't like Raider. Rhino is better as a Raider. He doesn't take many turns, so you're not getting much value out of that heal. Plus, he's a pre-surfer character, so his health bar is pathetic compared to the new meta. And then you've got Raider on her. That's fine. I also like her as a Striker. You could do him as a Skirmisher or a Striker. And then if you do Vulture, I like Vulture as a Raider, but you could also do him as a Skirmisher just to get more Skirmishers on the field. Like I said, this team doesn't really matter. And then Green Goblin, I like as a Skirmisher so that every time he takes a turn, or maybe it's the enemy's turn, I don't remember, he clears a negative effect from the enemy and starts stripping those away. Also having more Skirmishers with your Mysterio. Also, when you put on the OG Sinister Six, you might get lucky and somebody will come into it with like a Symbiotes or an Axeman, not realizing that Doc Ock isn't there. And that's what you're trying to do, is draw in a big team with a garbage team. So just make this a troll team and we can do a lot better. As is, I got to give you a D for this. I really don't like the wasted Doc Ock. He's way better on hybrid offense or hybrid defense, or just using this entire team as an offensive attack team. Team number 6 is a Guardians build. Here's where Ghost is. This is kind of that Tech Wing kind of thing we saw, or not, maybe not Tech Wing, like Tech Nerva. Yeah, it's a version of Tech Nerva. Nothing wrong with this. You've got Skirmisher, Raider. What I'd like you to do is, when you're using these 3 pieces of the Guardians build and something other than Guardians, the best thing to do is go Striker, and Skirmisher on group. Then you get this triple and quadruple tap. Your investment in Rocket, though, don't waste the ISOs. It's not worth it. This is a really old, kind of old and busted team that you don't want to do that with. But for those people who want to build this team up, I think it's better going Striker, Skirmisher for those double and quadruple, triple and quadruple attacks. Then down here you've got Healer and Striker. That's correct. On a full Guardians team, this is actually pretty good. Having him as a Raider is good. And then having Star-Lord just, I think he should always be a Striker. I don't see much point in putting him as a Skirmisher unless you're doing some kind of weird hybrid build that you need a Skirmisher to place that. Yeah, also your placement is kind of wonky. You don't want Star-Lord in between these two. You want Star-Lord on the end next to Rocket. That way he's only feeding Rocket the energy and Rocket pops off. You'll get a little bit more damage out of that. So change your ISOs, change your placement. For now, it's a B-. This is just kind of meh. I'm not pretty excited about it. Also, you might think about putting Vision in here, because this is kind of a filler team, and you could use Ghost to greater effect elsewhere. Team number 7, Asgardians. This is an automatic F. Why is it an automatic F? It's because Hela is a liability. This team gets steamrolled by very small symbiotes, by really small Axemen. It's no good. You've got to get Hela off the field. You don't want to use her on any defense. There's a case to be made when you pair her up with like a Phoenix, so that when Kestrel comes in, Kestrel loses the charge before Dark Phoenix arrives, something like that. But that's pretty niche and it doesn't work all the time. I say just use Hela on offense. You could use her on the New Warriors. You could use her on Hela Natural, that supernatural build. Loki goes great on the New Warriors, and then Thor goes great on the Wave 1. These two are trash. They go in the dumpster. I'm sorry, this is an F. You've got Raider on Thor. I like that. Skirmisher on him. That's good. Striker on Hela. When you're running the 5-piece like we used to do before the symbiotes existed, this was the way to do it. He would lay out the taunt. She would go into the taunt with Striker. You get a double tap for the extra damage. Nowadays, I think you should go with a Raider on her for all the other builds that she's doing, because she bounces around a little bit. She has a lot of AoE attacks. Raider on him is correct. You could do Healer on her. You could also do Raider. You could also do Skirmisher. Doesn't really matter because they're going to be in the dumpster. Moving on to team number 8. Here is the Emmarauders. Okay, so I think that you should probably take Psylock out and change this to a villain mutant, giving Strife a little bit faster turn meter. That helps there. Psylock isn't doing a whole lot for this team. She doesn't have a lot of synergy. And I think you could do better. I mean, like, if you don't have Omega Red, then somebody like, well, Sabretooth is great now on this team because he has all that synergy with the team. But you could also put in somebody like Silver Samurai. Lady Deathstrike isn't a mutant, but she still goes well on that team if you're going to run 2 of those Weapon X members. Healer, Skirmisher, Healer. I think you should put Fortifier on Strife. He uses Barrier to great effect. Your placement is okay. You might as well. Actually, this is a good placement. She's really dodgy. It's almost as effective as having her being invisible, Misty being invisible next to it. Also, you could put Emma next to Strife because she heals up so much, the splash damage isn't going to matter. And that way you could save those evades from Mystique that get transferred to Sinister and spread to the rest of the team. Honestly, I'm telling everybody these days, just break this team up. Use use Emma on offense. There's a New Warriors build with Emma and Surfer, which is a little bit overkill, but hey, overkill's underrated these days. You can also use Sinister on some hybrid offensive teams. And then, of course, Strife doesn't really get any use if you don't put him on this team. But Mystique's old hat, Psylock doesn't really fit. You want to probably trade out both of those. Minerva's another pick if you don't care about that villain mutant thing with Strife, so you could just put Minerva in there. She revives people. Also, I kind of like doing like a Minerva Squirrel Girl kind of thing, and then it's just a frustrating team to beat. It times out if you don't come in hot and heavy. Where's my music? Didn't hit play, darn it. There we go. Play. Thank you. Okay. A little bit of music for my ears. All right. Team number 9 is going to be... hold on a second. We are having issues today. Oh, that's why the headphones are turned off. Super high quality video, right? That's what I'm here for. Okay, now we can get that in the right ear. There we go. Much better. Now I'm happy. Symbiotes, team number 9. Symbiotes is it's a really good defense. It's a better offense, I think, because it kills so many things. It's very powerful. I think it's only going to be more powerful as time goes on. I'm guessing that the team's going to get better. It works so good in Doom 2. I think that we might actually end up seeing some characters come out to help this team along in the future. That's total speculation. I have no idea. Just, you know, talking out of my cheek there. Let's see. You need to get Scream away from Anti-Venom. So put Scream to the outside. Swap places with Venom there. That way they're apart from each other. Scream's kind of squishy. AV's very important. So you want them to the outside. Otherwise... yeah, let's do Scream as either a Raider or a Skirmisher. Striker works, though, actually. She does a lot of damage. The problem is you have 3 Strikers and only 2 people putting out Vulnerables. So, if you find it's working. But if you want to kind of maximize this, I like running Scream as a level 5 Skirmisher, making sure that she clears those positive effects when she's bouncing around on those teams like the Asgardians. You know, when Loki pops off and hell is under stealth and you really need to get to it, it's nice to know that she's going to make that happen. I think you should be running them on offense. I think you should look into that one change in ISOs and a little bit of an adjustment in placement. So that's a B- right there. It's not too bad. Team number 10 is a Wave 1 Avengers with Coulson in there instead of Thor. Now, like I said, break up those Avengers, get Thor in here instead of Coulson. Coulson is a very good secondary choice. He gives a massive health bonus to these SHIELD members, not Hulk, but the rest of them. So it's a pretty good pick. I like him as a Raider on this team. He could be a Striker on this team, though, but it's hard because you've only got 1 Skirmisher getting out the Vulnerables, so Raider's probably the best way to go. The biggest thing you need to do is change the placement. It should go Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, then Thor, and then Hawkeye is how it should go. As is, you should swap places with Hawkeye and Captain America and swap places with Black Widow and Coulson if you're going to keep this team the way it is. But your ISOs are good. Your placement is what most people would think is traditional, putting the tanks to the outside, but on this specific team, you want to keep all those tanks on one side, Black Widow under stealth, keeping all the chains over there, bouncing around back and forth, giving that turn meter and those other, you know, charges to Thor and stuff like that happening on the side. So it's pretty good. I'm going to give you a B for this one. You're in the ballpark. It's looking pretty good. Not too bad of a roster. I see a lot of smaller, weaker defenses here, and I think that's great. That means your offense is just kicking ass, and that's what you want. You want to have offense first and then defense. So even though these teams aren't scary, I think it's a really well-built defense, and I think you should be proud of yourself on that one. Get some of those touches, touch those things up a little bit for me, and get back to me. SassyMaMa's a friend of the stream, and we get to see her a lot, so I talk to her in Discord all the time, so I'm curious to see what kind of changes she makes, if she takes any of my advice. If you've got some advice for SassyMaMa or me, please leave some comments down in the description. I try to read those every week. Usually don't get around to it until Friday, so don't be surprised if I don't respond immediately. Also, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and remember, don't just have a good game, be good to yourself and others too. Bye.